Let's Talk Oculus is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to know how to support the show, go to patreon.com/playtestvr. What's up, Oculus nerds? I'm Dan from Playtest VR, and he's back. Samson, what is happening? Where the hell have you been?
Oh, I am back. I spent a little bit of time in Denver and Colorado Springs, but it's good to be back in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Sounds great, and what a show to come back to. I'm very excited about this one, and you guys are definitely in for a treat. Our guest, Jeff Bull Jr., is a VR developer. He has over 10 years of experience. He's the co-founder of Don't Look Digital, who are making the most insane horror games. We'll talk a bit about that. Also, he's addicted to VR. Even though he's a developer, he also loves VR. He has a lot of history with it. He has a lot of good advice for anyone who wants to start off as a VR developer, and he also works for Blackbox. He is the developer at Blackbox as well, which is an in-house VR fitness gym that combines like resistance training as well as VR. In something like an MMO, which is ridiculous to sound, but tons to talk about and tons to unpack here. But before we get into it, I just want to shout out to our three Patreons, Andrew, Kimberly, and Kai. Your kindness to support helped us pay for the premium version of Zoom so we can deliver a better podcast for you and all our listeners. So thank you so much to all three of you. We're definitely humbled by your support. And if you're interested in becoming a patron or just want to send us a question, all the details are in the description below, as long as all of Jeff's stuff as well. So I'll stop waffling on and enjoy the show, y'all. Jeff, welcome to Let's Talk Oculus podcast. We're excited to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be on.
Yeah, really excited to have you on. Now, me and Samson just explained to the listeners in the intro of the show that you've been in development for over 10 years now. You're a developer at Blackbox. You have a brand new take on VR fitness with that. And then you have your own studio going on as well. So there's tons to unpack here, but let's talk about the early stages of development, or what kind of brought you on to development in general, and what inspired you to transition into VR eventually.
Yeah, totally. I what got me in development in the first place, well, when I was a kid in high school, I really wanted to be in bands and be traveling around, like doing the whole rock star thing. So I started doing that, and out of high school I was on the road a bunch, traveling with bands and playing shows. But as you can imagine, didn't make enough money to live. So conveniently, I had my MacBook at the time, and I started building iPhone apps to try to supplement my income. So that's where I first started getting into development. And one of the things I liked about like iPhone or building like iPhone apps was like the tactile response of like touching things on the screen. Not to mention, it was just fun to make, various apps. Like I made like some soundboard apps, and of course like the fart apps or whatever, just because why not.
Yeah.
And then I did that whole thing, and that was a fun time. But I transitioned into web development as I kind of got back to kind of got out of the music industry a little bit, and was doing web development for a little while, which was fun, and like it got my development chops up for sure. But as you can imagine, definitely, it can be fun for some people. For me, it was a job, and it was fun enough. But that's when VR started coming out. I think Oculus started, doing their thing in like the 2014, 15, 16, when all of that started happening. And I was keeping an eye on it, but it wasn't until probably like 2017, 2018, I got my hands on a Windows mixed reality headset. I was at a the Unity engine. I was at a conference of theirs, and Microsoft gave a bunch of us these headsets. And I came home, and that's when I first truly tried VR, like I had tried to edit some shows here and there, but it was like sit in the roller coaster. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like actually getting home with it and like having your hands in VR and all of that once that happened and I experienced a few things there, it was just my entire just lens. I just shifted straight towards VR. I was like, all right, let's go here. Like I need to do this. And so I just started doing that a ton and started working with some friends over here creating some weird like music video things and just really experimenting with everything you could do in VR. And then that's when I met some of the people at Black Box and what they were doing with virtual reality and fitness over here in Boise, and got connected with those guys. And then just the doors blew open. And so that was probably like 2018, 2019. And since then, I've just been every single day, it's been either working on Black Box, which is like the VR fitness side, which is super awesome. And then on the flip side over there, working with Don't Look Digital on these experimental, immersive, almost like horror-ish experiences. And I've just been engulfed in the world of VR, so, and I was really excited when I like to talk about VR, and I think some of my friends are like, all right, shut up. We get it. But when I was like I was on Twitter and I was like, I want to get on some podcasts. Let's just talk about VR. And I was so excited that you guys reached out. It's like, yes. So I'm excited. Yeah.
That's why we started.
Yeah.
we also have friends like that who want us to shut up all the time. So we thought, all right, let's find some like-minded people. It's interesting how you made a good point there, where I think still a lot of people think that VR is like Google Cardboard, is that roller coaster simulator, and still not many people have tried out what real true immersive VR is. And it's pretty good that you got that transition with the mixed reality headset, because I've not really heard that. I've heard people say a lot of PlayStation VR is kind of the first entry level, but mixed reality is like a rare one.
Well, I think the mixed reality stuff, what was cool about it at the time, which does kind of suck now, is, I mean, because Microsoft had all, the OEMs, they all just came out with headsets, but they didn't sell because they were priced just too much compared to, Oculus and HTC at the time. And so they dropped the prices down a ton. I guess they were just giving them away, because I guess that's what they did to us. They just gave all the developers these headsets. They're like, build stuff for our store, please. And what was cool is like they were selling for pretty cheap. I don't know if you guys remember at the time, like they were selling for pretty cheap, and I actually got some friends on it too. Like they went and bought some headsets for pretty cheap, which kind of backfired a little bit for some of them, because they ended up getting some pretty poor experiences because of that. I think like some of like the Acer headsets and like some of the HP headsets at the time weren't that great. It like, it was still like super early days. So like things were uncomfortable, or all the, bugs and all of that other stuff. And plus the controllers for mixed reality are kind of weird. So I definitely wasn't in a unique space where I was at a developer conference, and that's how I got my hands on one, rather than through like the more traditional like consumer means. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, fair enough. It's it's a shame that didn't really take off, but I think maybe it was just too early days in a way. Tech was so early. The amount of requirements you needed for the PC as well, I think it was such a baby right then, and it was learning to walk.
Oh, totally. And that's what I guess that's what I'm excited for with with like Quest 2, and Quest is my favorite headset by far, because it takes away all of the or not all of, but it takes away most of the big huge friction points that people have with VR in the first place.
Well, definitely, and it kind of comes to my next question for you, is that, like I said, there's still a lot of VR critics out there. I look on Reddit, and well, I mean, Reddit's a toxic place anyway, but when it comes to VR, everyone's saying these are just like mini games and everything. There's no chance, it's just a gimmick still, like even though it's been out for a while now. What is kind of your projection of what VR is going to be, or if to make it a little easier for you, like what would you want VR to be? Like, would it be something that's just in fitness, or something that strives to be like a second screen in your home instead of using a monitor, or is it the games, or is it all of the above? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, there's definitely a piece of me that's reserved for I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm excited to see what happens. But there is a piece, I think, who was it? I think Denny of Cloudhead Games. He made a tweet one time that I think he put it pretty well, that like VR is something it's not a passive thing you do, at least not right now, and I don't know for how long, if it will ever turn into a passive thing, like your phone you just pull open and you start doing stuff on it. But VR is definitely something you kind of have to mentally prepare and get into, which isn't a bad thing at all. I think people, sports are like that, you going and leaving the house to go hang out with, going out to eat, whatever you're doing, you're going and doing an activity. And I think VR, especially right now, is still kind of that. It's like, all right, I'm going to go do a VR thing. I'm going to go do this activity. And I think that's kind of what the near term is still going to look like. And I think that's really cool. I think there's something special with that. Like people coming in and like, all right, I want to experience something right now, or like do something in this space. And there's definitely plenty of games. And I think fitness is one of the clear examples of like, it's better in VR than like doing a flat screen thing. There's just certain things in VR that are just automatically better. And I think people recognize that. And I think like that's what's helping kind of bring it forward right now. And I think the more we find those experiences that are just straight up better, instead of like, oh, it was neat that this game got ported to VR. It's like, it's a neat novelty, but it's like, it didn't have to be done.
No.
But at the same time, like, who knows, maybe, if the world, ends in apocalypse and, all the, whatever the climate change happens and everyone's stuck inside, then maybe it becomes an integral part of everybody's lives. I mean, over the pandemic, it kind of has a little bit, but at least for me. But yeah.
I think for all of us, to be honest, I think VR's kind of thrived in the pandemic, to be honest. It's able to, like, for example, all my family is like back at home. So one of my uncles has just got a Quest and I haven't seen him for 2 years. And I've just been playing walkabout mini golf, going into big screen with him. And it's like we're connecting on I don't really FaceTime him. It's normally just a message all the time. So now we've finally found that medium that is kind of makes sense for us. So I think you're right. I think an interesting one as well is that you're saying like people will go out to do VR, like they'll do a sporting event. Do you think that's just because of how closed off it is? You put the headset, you're in your own world, right? It's not like AR, I'd guess, where other people can have glasses or say, and they can all see the same shared world, or just watching a movie on a TV, right? Everyone can see that. Do you think that's could be a potential problem for VR, like being it all closed off and it's only a virtual space?
I think maybe even with one thing that I really appreciated with one of the most annoying things, and I think all Quest fans are a little annoyed at it right now, is that once you put on the Quest, like trying to play with somebody else can be pretty challenging sometimes. Like they have like the different, like they have like, you have the Quest parties, but then some games will kick you out of it or won't let the audio, and I guess they're rectifying that with these updates and stuff, and we're getting better and better. But I think the better that stuff gets and the more like connected, like maybe your phone gets, where like now you can see text messages and stuff inside of your headset. I think the more that stuff starts happening, where when you put on the headset, you aren't totally just like siloed off from all of your other things, that it might get easier to do that way. But like currently right now, like if I put on my headset, even though it is really, really easy now, it definitely is a little, there is that thing in the back of your head, like you put it on and you're like, all right, I'm disconnected in some capacity from other things in life. And, maybe that's a good thing or bad thing. And I guess
I very much like it.
Yeah. And I think like there's some experiences like I want that. And I think that's where maybe like, toggles and settings are great for that kind of thing. But like, there's definitely some experiences where it's like, I want to be 100% immersed. But then there are other experiences where you're hopping on to play, like if I'm playing like poker or like sometimes other maybe a little more, I don't know, the games that aren't as immersive, where you aren't like trying to listen to everything and hear everything. Like those are the games where maybe it's easier to be able to see like your messages pop up or being able to multitask or things like that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't
like
know.
if I'm
It's
fishing or something like that.
right. Yeah, no, totally.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just kind of chilling. That's the one thing I really wish that we could have right now. I think that would help VR is like you kind of have it in PC VR, but in Quest, like you can't like open up Discord or something and like just chill with your friends or like stream your games over Discord and like you can on the PC. Like I don't know what you guys like, but when I'm hanging out with friends on the, we're just hang on Discord and like people will be streaming their games and you're just chatting. You can hop in for a little bit. So I think like the more the friction kind of gets pushed away, which I know Oculus they're trying. It's definitely one of their big goals. I think that can definitely help for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's still early days. I know Samsung's always in multiplayer, so I guess you can also account to a little bit of problems of just trying to organize a party, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say like there were I mean they've been trying to work on the party chat thing, but there were times where I tried to play with my brother and like we just couldn't hear each other in the game. We couldn't figure it out, and there was just like so much friction that we just gave up and we're like, all right, we'll come back to this later.
Right.
But yeah, I mean there are some games like Walkabout I think is really nailed. It's super easy to get into a game, talk to people. But it's definitely inconsistent amongst the apps.
Well, that's the thing. I think Oculus need to come up with the system to have it like all the way around the whole system, like Xbox can do and PlayStation can do. Like I can be in a party with someone playing something else or a completely different games. We can still talk to each other and have that social aspect. So yeah, I think you're right on that. On that thing though, Jeff, what kind of VR headsets do you use right now? Like not for your development, but for your casual gaming in general? Like what do you normally go to? Is it the Quest or a
Yeah, it's
PC?
definitely I'm on the Quest pretty much for all of it. I used to do Quest for Quest stuff, and then I had a Rift S for PC stuff. But I think once the Quest 2 came out, and then it's just better in basically every way for myself. And then Airlink and virtual desktop came out. Then it was just like now my Rift S is just in a box. So I definitely
was gonna ask, do you use Link or virtual desktop more? Like, what do you use more often?
Lately it's been Airlink, just because it's a little more baked in. I use virtual desktop a little bit for I guess like some of the Steam stuff. I do appreciate Airlink for some of like the latency tricks that like Oculus has to kind of help with like the asynchronous like space warp and all of that stuff and like the time warp, all the little technologies in there that kind of help with like when you drop frames. But yeah, I definitely use Airlink more, but I use just a straight up cable link probably 80% of the time with my development. I have my Quest plugged in most of the time, and it's just so crazy how I'm plugged in via USB and like I can't tell the difference between like, especially with the latency. You can kind of tell with the compression a little bit, but once you're like playing, you forget about it.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. You kind of don't need the cable at all, really, anymore. For some. So, well, in that case, then, if you're on the Quest most of the time, what are you playing, and what is your favorite VR game?
Yeah. Oh man. I'm playing everything. So like I'm not at the level like I'm buying quite a few games as they come out. But like yesterday I finally bought a Gadgeteer. And was having a fun time in that one, just like building little puzzles and stuff. But like the games that I still play more consistently lately is but definitely doing Beat Saber for some fitness stuff for sure. Pop One, been playing Pop One, of course, like a ton. A couple of my coworkers at work, we try to play pretty consistently, and some of them have gotten pretty good. But I've been enjoying that. I just picked up Vertigo Remastered actually the other day on Steam, so I've been making my way through that one, and that one is like mind blowing for sure. But and I just picked up I've been picking up games that I've been missing that I've missed, like Moss. I just picked that up because I haven't played that one yet, and I want to get through that. So there's definitely a bunch of games in my backlog too that I'm trying to get through, and then like I want to try to pick up Sniper Elite because that looks awesome too.
Yeah,
but it's
I was tempted. I was tempted to pick up Stiper Elite yesterday, but then I jumped into I think Samson did the same, jumped into Synth Riders, their new their new DLC, the Caravan Palace. Is that correct, Samson?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Like that, I
Straight
feel like
fire.
that music just works perfectly in Synth Riders. I don't know if you played it, Jeff, but we're
I
big
have
fans
not.
over
It's been on
here.
my radar though. I've been debating picking it. There's so many games that I'm just like they're in my wish list that I'm trying to control myself. I'm like, all right, I should probably try some of these other ones before I pick them up, but like it's on my list to play for sure.
Yeah, Synth Riders is my go-to rhythm game for working out and all that.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think it really all these games like the Still of the Fight. We'll talk about the fitness with Black Box in a moment, but VR with fitness is escalated with the Quest, I think, because of the untetheredness, right? And I think so many people are getting in serious with it, like whether they're playing the games, but they're also playing Supernatural. I don't know if you've dived into Supernatural before, but yeah, a fantastic tool again, just really immersive, and I think they've done a great job in bringing fitness to the Quest. It was interesting. Did you see the leak of the is it the HTC, or they were coming out with like a fitness headset, but it got canned? I don't know. I don't know.
I saw. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw the. Wasn't that one? It was. Wasn't it supposedly a? What do they call it? Just like a prototype, like a render.
Yeah.
Or
Like
I really
yeah.
hope something like that becomes a thing because I think it would be awesome.
100%. I think it's definitely tailored for a certain audience which would like that. But we'll talk a little bit more about the fitness with Black Box a little bit later on. Jeff, let's talk about Don't Look Digital. And this is your studio that you co-founded, right?
Yeah.
How long has it been a thing?
So yeah, Don't Look Digital has been a thing since I think early 2019. It was initially I have an artist friend here in town who does some really sweet 3D art. And we just got together because with our love of VR, like he had been doing his name's Trey, he had been doing art shows around town, but he would bring his Oculus, like he would have like he had like paintings and like some sculptures and stuff, but then he would have his Oculus. And so he built like an art exhibit inside of VR using his different sculpts and stuff he had made. And so he was doing that, and he has some really awesome stuff. And so when I connected with him, we just started brainstorming on these like crazy ideas for I think at the time we were trying to do some music video stuff. So we developed like a music video style thing for an artist here in town. It was just one of the coolest things, like combining music with the visuals. And anyways, we kept vibing off stuff like that, and we've created tons of different prototypes, and we've kind of jammed some stuff together. And definitely we've just been in the experimental phase with the studio, where I think in 2019 we had jammed on some stuff. We went to Oculus Connect 6 and we showed off a game. We have a game coming out soon. We haven't like done a bunch of promo on it or anything, but we're sending it off to the App Lab, the people, in the next like week or so. So we'll see how long it takes to get out there. But we developed like a small puzzle game a few years ago that we just recently revived to kind of polish up and send out. But in the past, probably, and that development, the whole development for that studio kind of went a little more silent for 2020, just with my work with like Black Box and everything else going on. Yeah. But lately it's kicked up a ton, where we're going to be releasing this game, and we have some awesome stuff in the works for like immersive, kind of the immersive horror style gameplay. One of the things that I think one of our mantras or goals for some of the stuff we're making is we want people to, when they take off their headset, to look like they've like seen a ghost or something. We've seen this before. We've had a couple of these experiences where we put people in and they take it off and they look like their whole entire world just was like changed. And I'm like, these are the things you can do in VR. And so like our whole thing is we're not trying to like take other successful ideas that have been done on flat screen and bring them to VR. We're just really trying to just like tap into all the unique pieces that VR can bring. And so yeah, we're just experimenting a ton with like hand tracking right now, and different special ways of like using locomotion that feel natural, and then just like messing with your senses. Like we're creating an experience. I've created an experience where like you get your head chopped off with a guillotine, which is kind of fun. And then we're making one right now.
Wait, does the camera follow your head, or does it, like, you know what I mean? Like when your head falls off. Okay. Right now it cuts to black, but we were like, do we do the roll around thing? And maybe. And these are the things that we're experimenting with. I'm like, I don't know if we just like have these little bite-sized like 2-minute to 5-minute things we chuck out on App Lab and people download, or like do we kind of combine them into a bigger experience? But those are the things we're kind of working on. And like one of the things we're working on right now is like you're on the moon and like your helmet cracks and like maybe you like are suffocating in space or something, just like these weird things that you can mess with like your mind, and those are the things we're really excited about and building right now.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Like as a big fan of horror and VR horror especially, this all sounds amazing, but also terrifying at the same time. I think you're right though. I think like there is some games that have been kind of ported to the Quest, which have been flat screen games, not just horror. Like I know Resident Evil 4 is coming out, but for example, like Myst is another old puzzle game which got ported and such. And sometimes it just don't really work. And I think it's really good that you're building something from the ground up and really thinking about VR as a general, as a medium, and going, okay, what are the pros of VR? How can we make this more immersive? And I saw that you recently hired like a 3D audio director as well. Yeah,
that's like one of the biggest things in VR that I think some people don't think about is audio is almost just as important, if not more important, than the visuals. Like bringing in someone who's good at audio and having them put those layers into your game can really bring it to the next level. This guy, his name's Dara Crawford. He's from London and he does the sickest. He's like he's like the mad scientist of like audio. But like we're like working, he has all these crazy ideas, and like he works with me at Black Box as well. And just you can do so much with audio in like that spatial world where like we've even had ideas where like you're in a dark room and you are hearing somebody walking around you, like, I don't know, being all creepy or threatening you, or you hear like knives or like guns or something, but like you can like really mess with people just in the audio space alone without even having any visuals going on.
That sounds absolutely horrifying.
Sounds great, Samson. What are you talking about?
Oh my God. I was scared by the dog in the Carve snowboarding game. You're in the lodge and there's a dog in there. And I walked over to it, I was like, oh, can you pet the dog? And I pet the dog and its head moves and its tail wags and I jumped and screamed. Doesn't take much to get me.
Samson's not going to dive into Don't Set Bobby at any time soon. I don't think. But no. You're right though. I think PlayStation are really pushing this with their PS5. I think they talked about 3D audio so much in their like initial conferences, and people were like, what is this, because you can't really experience it unless you actually put it on. And I think potentially with their next VR they'll probably be honing in on that as well, probably pushing for that, which is probably going to work great for you. But you're right, I remember back in the day when I was playing Resident Evil 2 how Mr. X, you can just hear his footsteps no matter where you are in the mansion, and it's getting closer or going further away. That's absolutely terrifying, and that's without any like spatial audio. That's just the sense. So add the immersion layer onto that as well as your headphones. Yeah, you're in for some sort of treat. You might need to put like a disclaimer before you put out these games.
I know. That's the one line we're trying to like weave around is like, how do we make something that's like both immersive and like terrifying, but like not scare off too many people to the point where it's like only the brave may enter, because we want people to try it out for sure. We want like a broader audience to try it out, and like that's like the one thing is like, how do we make it so it's fun and exciting and adventurous, but like not just straight up like, you know, make you take off your headset, you know, 2 minutes into the experience and not play anymore kind of a thing. So that's kind of like a hard balance that we're trying to kind of weave around. I'm kind of a baby when it comes to horror, so I'm kind of the
what?
Yeah. And maybe that's where like when I like to create it, because if I'm
you
creating
know what's
it,
coming.
I have more control and I
Yeah.
know what's coming. So maybe that's part of it. And so like luckily I think I can kind of be the barometer of like, all right, maybe this is too much and like people are gonna be, you know, but I don't know, like creating something like dying in VR, like I don't know like what the traumatic effects of that are. Like depending on how well you do it, it could be pretty scary. And I don't know, actually that's actually the one thought I had yesterday was like, is Oculus going to be down with this, like because they are, you know, they are sensitive to what's on their platform. And you know, it's like death in VR, it's like nothing totally like, you know, offensive or out there, but it is like mentally and emotionally taxing, or it can be, I guess. And it'll be interesting to see what we can kind of get away with on that front.
Seems like on the App Lab they're not too stingy about the content of the game.
No,
but
so
I feel like, yeah, it depends how amazingly immersive you make it, you know. I think you've already got some experiences, like for example Face Your Fears, which is I wouldn't say it's immersive, but they just give you those jump scares. I think for me, I made a video way back when I started the YouTube channel with Face Your Fears, and I hate spiders. And when the spider jumped out on me, I screamed like a little baby. I took the headset, my controller flinged off the, you know.
Oh yeah.
I think that's one type of horror, and I think that's always fine for people. It's a jump scare, you get over it, blah blah blah. But I think it's that psychological horror, that immersive thing that sticks with you later on. And I think, you know, in one aspect, you could say if people do feel like that after, you've made it a freaking amazing experience. But on the other thing, you're like, yeah, am I isolating way too many people, and I've just got some weirdos who are just into that stuff trying it out, you know? So that's fine medium.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, we're excited to see what we can do. Like I said, we're still like in that heavy experimental phase, and I've been like posting stuff on Twitter to see like what people kind of are vibing with. And a lot of the work right now is trying to make something that looks and feels good on the Quest, because as I think I think a lot of people know that like Quest is pretty low power compared to the PC, and development and making stuff look good on it can be pretty challenging, especially for a lot of indies. It takes a lot of work to get something looking really good and vibey. And so like that's actually where most of my time is spent right now on these projects, is creating like a bed layer of framework to like get these things looking as vibey and cool as possible. And that way we can kind of build on top of that, which I'm pretty excited with what we've been able to unlock so far with the Quest. It's like an awesome developer community out there, with lots of like helpful tips and experimentation that's happening in the field.
Yeah, I could say the same to the fans of Oculus as well. I feel like the whole VR community is very like friendly when it comes to things completely different to other spaces I've found. I just wanted to touch on Don't Upset Bobby for a quick minute, because it really excited me when I was doing some research for this episode on this game, because it basically, so it's like horror Jenga. It's you're kind of building up what is given to you, And there's like pieces all around the room, right? But you've got Bobby, who looks like something even worse than the person out of the Goonies. I can't remember
Yeah.
just sitting there waiting, and then getting angrier and angrier, and then screams at you if it all goes wrong. Like, what was that just like just a mini concept that you came up with and then just decided to develop it into something more tactile to push it out, or is it just you just want to mess with your fans?
Yeah, I think that one, I think Don't Upset Bobby, that was one of we were creating different game ideas, and I think we were just trying to think of things in VR. And I think one of the things I was trying to and actually before I say this, I do want to say that was when I was talking about us like kind of jamming and making some puzzle games a few years ago. That was one of them, and that was one of the ideas that we kind of brought to life. And so like some of the trailers we put out, but then things just happened in life and we kind of walked away from it. But I think about like 3 to 4 months ago, Trey, the co-founder of Don't Look Digital, was like, hey, we should revive this. I think people would like just a little taste of it, like a little demo of it. And so we have taken that, polished it up, gotten it running on Quest, and it's looking pretty fun. And we got Dara, our new audio guy, to come in and throw down audio on it. And we're submitting that to App Lab here in the next week or so. So depending on how quick that gets in there, we'll get that released. But yeah, so like the game is, we were trying to think of a game loop that didn't need any artificial locomotion, because I'm pretty sensitive to like motion sickness in VR. And I really enjoyed how like games like Job Simulator were able to kind of dynamically take your space and create something inside of it. So you could like walk around, and I love the immersion of that. So we were able to take some ideas from there, and then we're like, well, what if we make a puzzle game where you have to like collect things on the floor and like build these towers? And then of course we're like, well, it would be awesome if like this creepy child monster dude or whatever was like wanting you to build his like tower for him. And yeah, he like gets mad at you and like tries to kill you if you fail, and he gets happy if you complete it. And so it's like a puzzle game where you're racing against time to like gather his toys and like build something out of it. And so that's the premise of the game. And we brought it to OC6, and someone who tried it was like, dude, this is like horror Jenga. And I was like, oh, that's a fun little tagline for it. So like, yeah, we kind of used that. And so we'll be releasing like a trailer for that and whatnot as we get closer to release. But yeah, that one was just like a fun, like, how do we make something that can only be done in VR that can't be done on flat screen? Or at least it'll be worse on flat screen. It'll be better in VR. And I think it just, building stuff is fun. And then kind of combining it with that horror aspect, just, it felt fun to us. So
I agree. I think the being in VR for that type of game, the tension of just Bobby just sitting there as well, and you just look over your shoulder and he's just with that horrible face, just like ready to scream at you. At the same time, you just said after you complete it, he gets happy. I feel like watching him smile is going to be pretty creepy as well.
It's almost equally as creepy, him being happy for sure.
Now,
yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, are you looking to potentially put hand tracking into this game, or currently just touch controllers for now?
So we thought about doing hand tracking for it, but the framework it's built off of, I used and for the developers out there who might be watching, I used an old framework called VRTK. And when I used it a few years ago, it was kind of new and whatnot. But today, after hand tracking and stuff came out, it's pretty old. And like adding hand tracking into it was like going to be really tough. So it's one of those things. I really like hand tracking. In our new experiences, we're building it around hand tracking.
Yeah.
But like with that one, like I tried, and I was like, it's going to be way too much to like get this in here. But if people like are really digging the game and we're seeing some reception, then then maybe that would be the time to put some effort into getting hand tracking working. Because I love hand tracking for the Quest.
What are your favorite games to use the hand tracking? Because honestly, I struggle with it. Like I get super frustrated.
Me too. And I think that there's a bit of a And what are my favorite games that use hand tracking? That's what's hard is I don't know if I really have one because they're all a little tough. And that's like maybe that challenge is maybe a little too hard, but I'm striving for it. I'm like, how can we make hand tracking feel good in a game? And so we're really trying to work with it. It's definitely proven challenging, but I know Oculus just released high frequency hand tracking, I think in the last month or two. So we've been experimenting with that, which is super cool. It just keeps things more responsive. But I think like as we go, it'll get better and better. So I'm hoping like by the time, you know, we're releasing more stuff with this hand tracking, it'll have gotten to a point where it just feels better and it's easier to use. Like the hand lab? I forget the name.
Hand physics lab. Is that
hand physics lab? Like that's like a fun thing for sure, but it definitely feels a little hard to like interact with things sometimes. And I know the developer like has awesome tricks, and is probably one of the best, right now, one of the best examples of using hand tracking on the Quest. But but so it's definitely a tough one for sure, but I really like it, and I want to see it succeed if possible. But
I think that's definitely potentially the future of VR, of having no controllers whatsoever, and you can do it with your hands, but we're just not there yet. For me, I think I get slightly frustrated. I don't know if it's because of the hand tracking is not working correctly, or it's just a learning curve for the user as well, of trying to like lift an object that's like a square, and you can't put your hands together. You're like, you have to like pretend that that's this size. So you should grab it. You need to keep that size all the way. And I think that's kind of difficult. I've been playing a couple of experiences, one that's not out yet, but another one, in the hoop, which is a basketball one, which is you pick up the ball and you shoot, but then when you shoot, it's slightly off, and it's just trying to get that. You got a sense of just, oh, you're holding something, but you're not actually holding something. It's trying to get that fine balance of understanding that. And I don't know if that's up to the developer or just up to the user in terms of a learning curve and trying to grab objects. Like I've been playing chess club in VR and with hand tracking, and that's super easy because you're picking a piece up and dropping it, and you're like actually physically touching your fingers as you're picking that piece up, so you get that like response. But when you're actually not holding anything, I don't know if it's a learning curve for us or just a developer thing to think of ways to improve that side of things.
Well, I think VR is at its best when the user doesn't have to go through a big learning curve. And so like I think for some experiences it's definitely, there is learning that needs to happen. But like, I think for like something as natural as using your hands, I don't think it is tough. It is tough when you're trying to pick up a box, but like there's nothing to, your hands don't collide with anything. And then
I need like haptic support, that's the thing. It's like haptics is so much for immersion.
I agree. And I think that's where I think controllers still kind of win in that aspect right now. And I think that's where it's like right now, like we're trying to work with hand tracking, but you do lose, while it is super immersive to have your hands like in the space and like moving your hands around just looks and feels so good. And then once you switch to a controller, your hands are kind of just like, they're there static or whatever.
Yeah.
But with the controller, you get, better tracking, and those haptics are awesome. Those haptics can really like help with the immersion for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe the gloves. I mean, I know people are trying to make their own like haptic gloves, and maybe that's another way forward for that.
Yeah.
It's another feature, but yeah, I would love hand tracking to work. I think for the simple games it just works great. I love doing it, but yeah, the controllers. Although you look at I don't know if you've ever played Red Matter, but they do.
Oh, it's one of my favorite games of all time.
I only just started playing it like a few weeks ago, and oh my days, straight away I'm hooked. But the way they've done it, where the controllers are like incorporated into the game as like your devices, I love that. That definitely brings the immersion in. And they came out ages ago, so I don't think not many other places, not many other games have done that since.
But Red Matter, oh man, if we were talking about games, like I think that's probably my favorite VR game of all time. That game is, I think, it's what inspired me to like, let's
Hmm.
just make something cool, because they really do immerse you in that world, and it looks
Hmm.
beautiful on the Quest. Like they have mad scientists over there or something.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
It looks amazing, and yeah, they just updated it for the Quest 2 when the Quest 2 launched, to make it look better, and it looks phenomenal. And I think what they've made also is that the movement in that game is fantastic. Like I normally play that game
Mhm.
sitting down and just
Oh yeah.
relaxing, and I think they've nailed the movement. They've done similar things with Lone Echo as well, but yeah, that's one of the earliest games, and I still think, yeah, to me is also one of the best titles out there still.
It's so good.
And
I love it.
I'm waiting for that second one now. Like,
Oh man, I cannot wait. I've been trying to like find similar games to it, but like nothing. I don't know. I picked up The Room. The Room's
mm,
cool because it has like that puzzle vibe, but it's like
yeah,
just a different style of game. And I'm like, but I want more of that weird
I
sci-fi.
know.
Like, I don't know. It's so sick.
Yeah,
And you're
I
right. The
think.
controllers, I think they did a good job with like having tools in your hands. So it's like
Mhm. Yeah,
you're able. Yeah, there's something about it.
yeah, definitely. Let's move on to a bit of black box. So, like I said, before we recorded that, I'm not going to spend too long on this because you do have a podcast with Eric for President that came out, I think, a month ago, which pretty
Mm.
much solely talked about black box, and gave you every single detail on all the questions possible. But it is too cool not to cover it, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I mean, I was going to describe what it is, but do you want, I mean, you might as well give a quick rundown of what black box is. So that, because I didn't know about it until I had you on a podcast. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Black Box is, so it's a VR fitness experience. That's like the straightaway pitch of it, but it's much more than something you find on a Quest. So Black Box is it's a location based resistance training, like VR gym
mhm,
is what we've been building. So we take a VR game that we've created, and we combine it with like a robotic cable resistance machine, which provides, I think, up to 120 pounds of resistance per arm right now. And so you do things like you're playing a competitive like sport like game where you're going against different people. And there's RPG elements in there that we kind of combine with when you're working out, you level up your character in the game while you're also getting stronger in real life. But we
mhm,
combine it with compound exercise movements. So we have chest press, like a shoulder press, deadlifts, things like that you go in. Like, so when you do a chest press, you shoot like a laser out of your chest, like
mm,
attacking like different enemies. And it's one of the coolest things that I've ever done or worked on in my life. It's what I use for exercise. It's what I
yeah,
use for my resistance training.
mhm,
Um, and we have like an app that pairs with it, and we track. What's awesome, since this is in VR and we're tracking your body, we are tracking all these various different data points that we can then like leverage to use our AI to progressively overload you while you're working out so
mhm,
you can continue to get stronger. So we're
mhm,
able to sense like if you're getting tired, or if you've gotten stronger, and so we can up the weight or lower the weight depending on how that's all going. So it's a total like combination of like a robotic, cable resistance machine with a VR game with an AI that trains you essentially.
yeah,
And so we've built these locations, and we're bringing it to more and more gyms as we grow. But it truly is like the next level of, I guess, weightlifting for sure.
yeah.
Is it like one unit you go to for like one type of movement, or is it like one unit for all of the different types of resistance, if that makes
Yeah, it's
sense?
one machine, and it's one machine with two handles on it, but the handles can rotate and move around to different points to facilitate different exercises.
Gotcha.
And so the machine will kind of transform to whatever exercise you're going to do, but the machine and your VR world are all mapped one-to-one. So when you're touching parts of the machine, you're touching it in VR. It's all mapped one-to-one. And so yeah, you like for like a chest press, when you're doing a chest press, because we have different elements assigned to each of the exercises too. I think like your chest press and your shoulder press are fire attacks, and like your deadlift and your squats are water attacks. And you can take the elemental rock paper scissors. If like someone sends you a fire enemy, you can load up squats, and then the machine will transform to allow you to do squats, and then you're doing squats, and then you're doing critical damage to an enemy, versus like if you were to do just fire attacks, it would be a little more resistant to that. So that's kind of like the way that we handle like the balancing and I guess like the gameplay aspect of the game. And then you have when you're doing these resistance training exercises, once you're done, you definitely need that rest in between when you're doing those large amounts of weights. And so we incorporate like an active rest little mini game that we have in this game. And if you, I don't know if you guys have played Clash Royale on mobile.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of similar in how that works, where you actually have a deck of different champions that you can collect from working out, and when you're gaining currency from doing these battles, you can unlock these different champions that you can deploy onto the field that can assist you. And when you're deploying them onto the field, you do what we call a slam pattern, which is kind of similar to like a box or fit XR, where you're punching and slicing and doing these different movements to get your heart rate up. And so I guess I'm the game programmer for Black Box. I'm not like the fitness like I'm not like the fitness professional. We have some of those on there, but apparently I guess like it's like a hit style cardio workout in that sense. And they've done all their, I guess, sciencey things to figure out like we do like a 30-minute workout. And so when the AI is like sending enemies at you, we try to get it so you're having like it's like a high heart rate, heavy like resistance training experience like through about 30 minutes. And so that's how long the sessions are right now. And so we have these like, I don't know what you would call them, like fitness scientists, fitness professional like coaches working on like that side of the game to make sure all the fitnessy things are all correct. And then me and the team go and just implement that all. But kind of just rambling about it now because it's just there's so much to talk about experience, because it's just so much.
I think when I was on the website just doing some research, the quote that really stuck out to me was people spend hours playing games leveling up their character but leveling down themselves. Referring to someone who would sit on their desk and just play Call of Duty or whatever. And I love that quote because I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's kind of me.
Oh man.
But VR's kind of changed that, right? Because like it's you're doing stuff. Even if you're just playing, I don't know, Red Matter, like you're doing, if you're standing up, you're on your feet, you know, you're doing things. You're not always sitting down, which is definitely problematic. And I think we've already spoke about this earlier with VR fitness. It's quite big on I think there's a lot of selling points for some people. People just buy it with their Supernatural subscription, or they just like to play Thrill of the Fight, Synth Riders, Beat Saber, just to get their cardio in, which is I think is awesome because, you know, stereotypically, I think us as like gamers, like sometimes we can forget about that. I think you could talk probably about that in terms of as a developer. Like if you're on Black Box, you're doing your Don't Look Digital, everything, right? You could always forget to like, oh, I need to get up and actually do something.
Totally. Yeah. Black Box. Yeah. Conveniently for myself, it's kind of fun. I'm working on this thing that I'm able to use for exercise. So, fitness, I've always been into fitness. But the Black Box has definitely helped take it to the next level where I'm taking it a lot more seriously. And not only is it like part of my life, it's a part of my job. So it's kind of fun to like take that all. But yeah, it's so true. VR has really changed, you know, how you can make these different fitness experiences just because it's your body. You know, we have the thing as your body is the controller, and I think some other games have said that too, but like it really is like we just have two tracking, we use like the HTC Vive and we use the tracking pucks on those, and yeah, your actions in the game, your exercises in the game, you know, do different actions in the game. And yeah, it's definitely, it's a trip. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, I was just about to say, I think with fitness in general, unless you're like super into it, it's pretty boring. So
yeah,
I think the game aspect to this is a real key. And what I also love about what they're doing at Black Box, and you could say the same to like Supernatural as well, but probably more for Black Box, is that it's like a personal trainer. You don't have to think. It like the machine does everything, and all you need to do is show up and try and defeat the enemy.
Yeah.
Gamified.
Yeah, totally. That's what we're trying to do. We're all, we're big gamers over at Black Box, and that was one of the things is we saw, like, I think what was the quote is you're leveling down your life while you're leveling up your character, but we're like, why not both? We gaming is one of the most addictive things in the world, and fitness has always been just boring to a lot of people. And obviously there's a lot of people who fitness is not, it can be hard, or it's out of the way, it's annoying, it's inconvenient,
there's friction there,
feel good. There's friction, and like, so that's what we're trying to do with Black Box is how can we take something like gaming that's fun. And there's plenty of people who have tried it in the past, but using resistance training, I think, is a huge piece of the gamified fitness puzzle that has been lacking for sure. And so we're really just trying to see, like, how can we not only gamify fitness but actually make it a game, like not just like, oh, fun, you got some points or whatever. Like, it's an actual game. Like, you go in there and there's strategy involved, and there's deep RPG elements, and you're leveling up these characters, and there's these we're implementing like clans and teams right now, so you can enter these clans and like work towards these like either global achievements, or I don't know, like if you guys have played very many like MMOs or things like that, but like even like in Destiny, when you're I forget what they call them, like clans or whatever they have there, where like they have like different achievements where you all are working towards like this clan specific achievement. You're leveling up your clan together. So we're trying to take like the social aspects of that and just, I don't know, just make a sweet game that's fun to play but also has these exercise things attached to it, kind of like how like Beat Saber, like you could call it a fitness game, but like that's not what that's not like the initial,
their end goal, right?
Sell to it. Yeah.
I'm real into like, how do the controllers work? Because I think I saw on the website it's like a wrist thing. Like, is there hand tracking? Like, how's that all work for?
Yeah, so we're using the HTC Vive right now. So we use the HTC Vive Pro, and then we use the Vive tracking pucks at the moment. And then we're always looking for ways to slim that down, and hopefully we're always looking for ways to try to capture like a full body like camera experience. So right now is tracking pucks that track your hands, at least like the position of them, to be able to help you grab the handles for the machine and track your movements for some of the hit style cardio mini games we have in the game. But yeah, no, it's all you just attach them to your wrist and just go.
I was about to say, I don't know how much you could talk about this because like you said, you're not inclined with the fitness side as much as the actual game development side of it. But I assume with all the tracking involved, you can really dial in like the form of the person. They can find out, oh, they're doing the squat correctly, are they going deep enough, etc.
Yeah, we yell at you if you do bad form. Yeah, if you're doing
That's
bad
amazing.
form, we say like, hey, we have notifications and different like things in the game to tell you, because
You
yeah,
could hurt
form is
yourself.
extremely important. Yeah, you don't want to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's true. You are able to track a lot of that stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, we have like exhaustion maps that track, how hard you're hitting different muscles.
Mm.
We're able to like, what's cool is like, since we can track your height, we can position the cables to a specific height that works for you, because obviously like a taller person for doing like a standing chest press would need the cables higher than you might need them. So yeah, because we can track your body, it's just a perfect thing for fitness in that level. But yeah, we definitely track your form. And we will yell at you if you're doing a bad job, because we don't want you to get hurt. And also it's just, you're gonna get poorer results anyways if you do that.
I assume you've got heart rate tracking through what we're wearing on the wrist, right? Or
Oh, we
something?
don't
Or
yet. We don't
no?
yet.
Oh yeah, you
No.
got to get that in. I think
I
that'd be a
know.
great thing as well.
I know a lot of our users will like use like their Apple Watch and stuff to
Yeah,
like try to track that along with our app, but it is on our roadmap to get that
yeah,
involved with all the statistics for sure.
definitely. Because I think it'd be cool to just view that in game. Just see your heart rate somewhere,
Mhm.
or just get the person to yell at you, going, "Okay, you need to take a rest because your heart rate's like a 160."
Yeah,
And
totally.
you know,
Totally.
so
Oh
that
yeah,
that
I can't wait.
I was also going to say another advantage of this black box is that a lot of people who don't know much about fitness, or maybe you're not the fittest person in the world, they get intimidated by going to the gym because they see all these other people, who are super fit, and they're like, oh my, I think the great thing about this is you go into your like booth in a way, and you
Mhm.
put your headset on, and all the judgment's gone because
Yeah,
who cares anymore? You're just playing this game and you're immersed so much that you'll forget about the fear. So
definitely.
tons.
How
Yeah,
how big are
most
your brick
definitely.
and mortars?
So we have a couple different locations. So we have two locations right now in Boise, here in Boise, and then in San Francisco, which are our own like black box gyms. And then we've partnered with a gym chain called EOS over on the West Coast, here in the US, that we've installed, I think, depending on the gym, like 3 to 5 different booths in
And
each
it's
of
like
their
a part of
locations.
their gym. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And then at our own like black box locations, like in Boise, we have 7 booths. And then I think in San Francisco, we have like 14 or something like that.
Wow.
So we're working on different business models in terms of like opening our own gyms, and then working with other gyms to kind of slot into their existing ecosystem. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Sort of
guess.
franchise it out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess the next step to evolve it is more, I guess, more locations, right? In that
Mm-hmm.
aspect. But I think I read that your like end vision is to potentially make it an esports, like
Yeah.
the CrossFit games of VR in a
Yeah,
way.
totally. Yeah, I think we that is definitely one of the visions for sure. Is we would love for people to come in and actually like compete in these, sports, using all of this equipment, and like being inside of these arenas, and just like any other esport, taking that, but including a bit more of like the physical aspect, I think would be a fun uh different kind of like tie-in. It kind of combines the world of esports and I guess sports, and kind of combining them together. And I think that would be super sweet. So
Yeah.
we're working towards that, including more multiplayer features and stuff as we go, to
Yeah.
kind of help facilitate that. And we've even run some like small tournaments like here in town, and it's been really fun to watch, like seeing these people compete in different ways. And like we're trying to learn from how do these like small tournaments work, and how can we take some of these things and implement it in like a grander vision inside of the game, and like the whole black box ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah. Would you potentially think about, I don't know if it will work because I guess this thing is so centered to this black box device that potentially bringing something to your homes. Like I was looking at it and go, okay, maybe you got places, you got home gyms like Bowflex that do like an all-in-one that potentially be implemented. But I thought maybe what you could probably do is it, on the days of recovery or maybe the days off, if people have Quest headsets, for example, they can go home, link their Quest to their game, and do some recovery yoga or meditation, like how Supernatural does, to kind of earn a little bit of points. I think that would give some incentive to do that. But I don't know if you're looking at potential home solutions at
It's
all.
definitely something we think about and consider and talk about for sure. Yeah, nothing can be said about all of that stuff, but it's on our minds for sure, because I know I would love something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, for sure. Because when I'm on my off days, I'm playing Beat Saber or Creed or things like that to kind of help with all of that. So yeah, the at home experience is there's especially a big market there too.
I was just when you just said Creed, I started laughing a bit because I remember going into Creed, looking down at my arms, and they would be huge because they would be like in Rocky's body, and I was like, hold on, if I'm at Black Box, one day that might happen. I might take the headset off and go, oh my god, here we go.
Yeah, no, totally. It just might, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully you come to Vancouver soon. Hopefully there's a Black Box there, and that would be pretty awesome potentially.
That would be awesome.
I'd definitely be interested in something like that. Jeff, I just had a couple more questions for you before I let you go. One was like, to as you're a developer for so many years, what would be like some of your advice tips on someone who wants to start out and wants to go into VR development? Like, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. I think some of like I'll give some like practical advice, and then I'll give some maybe more theoretical advice. But maybe like the practical advice is hop onto YouTube. There's tons of awesome tutorials, tons of awesome people just showing you how to get into development in general. There's a million videos that are more like geared towards like a game engine like Unity or Unreal Engine, that are more maybe less VR focused, but at least can teach you a lot of the frameworks and like the groundwork that you can, that will help you as you transition into VR development. There's a lot of things that stay the same, but there is a handful of stuff that you have to I guess like think about when you're doing VR development, as far as like, locomotion, or how you're working with space, or making sure the player is comfortable and stuff, which I think you can just learn by just playing games in general and kind of like seeing what you like and what other people like. But yeah, YouTube is such an awesome resource. That's what I use to learn. I didn't go to school or anything for this. YouTube was basically my teacher. So there's that. And then I think some of like the more theoretical advice is try not to beat yourself up over getting stuck, because programming can be pretty hard. There are some people where it just clicks, and there are some people where it doesn't. There was a portion of my time when I first started programming where I quit because it was just like, I don't understand this. Like, I can't do this. But sometimes it could be helpful to maybe even redo, like if you're able to find like a course online or some YouTube videos where you're developing like the simplest game of all time, to maybe do that a few times, like do the same tutorial a few times to kind of help make some of those understandings more concrete. But I think like, yeah, don't try not to beat yourself up if you don't get it, because chances are you won't at the very start. But it is important to kind of keep just reading about it, watching videos, and just trying to soak it all in. Eventually things will start clicking. And then once things start clicking, then you can kind of push yourself farther and farther and farther.
Yeah.
Push through the pain.
Yeah, totally.
No, that's great advice. I think just to round off the show, because we're an Oculus Quest channel. I did have a quick fire, but we've answered pretty much every question on there.
Cool.
The one thing that was left on there, and just because we're an Oculus Quest channel, I feel like people won't want to know. For the next Quest headset, what would be one of the features that you'd probably want for it? Maybe it's on a developer standpoint in terms of more power, or just a feature for consumers in general. Like, what would you like to see in the next implementation, whenever it's going to be?
Yeah, I think as a developer, more power would be awesome, and I think we'll get that for sure.
Yeah,
I think I want more power, and I want it to get a little lighter if possible. I want the headset to get a little lighter. Yeah, just more power. I think like the resolution's pretty good. More resolution would be cool, but I think we're at a good enough point for me anyways. But yeah, more power and make it lighter, I think will be awesome. I think we have kind of, I'm looking at my Quest over there. That's why I keep looking off screen. I'm like looking at it.
Or just look at our Quest for a little bit.
Yeah.
Have a moment.
Ship the Quest 3 with the pro strap,
the elite
the
strap,
OG strap. Oh man, I don't know. I guess for some people it's not a big deal, but for me it hurts to wear.
That was the first thing I got rid of, that and the stock facial interface. So it's like VR totally. Cover and the strap. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, more power that way. Because the one thing, and I don't know if like non-developers know this with Quest, but doing right now with the Quest 2 and the Quest 1 especially, doing post-processing, like adding color grading or bloom or motion blur or all these extra really cool effects are pretty challenging to do on the Quest right now. And it's one of the reasons where some games just don't look very good, because they don't have that extra level of glue or polish on top. And dynamic lighting is definitely tough as well. So I think if we get, I think we're almost there. Quest 2 does a pretty good job of it, but if we can get some more power to give us extra rendering budget for things like post-processing, it can still be done right now. Like all this stuff can be done. It's just harder to do. But I think it'll help for indies, like with indies with really small teams who don't have like dedicated like technical artists to take care of that stuff. I think it'll be super helpful. But
yeah, definitely. Well, quick bonus thing: did you pre-order the Steam Deck or not?
Oh man, I wanted to so bad, but all my money, all my spending money is just going into VR for sure. But like the Steam Deck, I'm like, that's one thing. If we're talking about like,
in terms of power, right?
Headsets. Yeah, I'm like, that thing looks powerful, and they could slap it onto a little mobile index or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's fake, because I remember seeing the video of it, and they were saying that you can put an index to it, but it's not optimized for that, right? So if you did a dedicated optimized for just that the CPU that they put in there, it's quite exciting to see how much power. Like, who would have thought you'd be able to put like a full-blown gaming PC in a handheld, which I don't know. It looks so heavy, but I don't really know. Who will see.
I'm excited when it comes out. I'm watching all the coverage, and I'm excited to see what happens with that. That's cool stuff.
Until they say that, yes, you can put an index in it and it's going to work great, then you'd be like, that's a good business expense.
Yeah, then I'll buy it. Right away. Yeah, no, totally.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jeff. Thanks a lot for being on the show. You've been awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been great. Do you want to plug your socials or what you're doing right now?
Yeah, just hit me up. I'm trying to be more active on Twitter, so I'm at Jeff Bull Jr. on Twitter. So I'll be posting more of our like little teases and stuff for our game, and I'll let you guys know about the news with Don't Upset Bobby. You can check out our studio at Don't Look Digital on Twitter. And then if you're interested in the fitness space for VR, check out Black Box VR. If you're on the West Coast, if you're in California or Arizona, you might have a gym near you. So come check us out.
Yeah, definitely. No excuses if you live right there. I think that's a
Right.
great fitness tool.
Come
No
check it
excuses.
out.
Exactly. Go say hi
Yeah,
to
please.
Jeff and the gang. But yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff. And thanks to all the listeners listening. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's been a pleasure to have Jeff on the show. We have all the links and everything in the description. And you know about me and Samson, so you don't need to know about our links anyway. But yeah, so thanks all. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next week's episode. Beautiful.